Okay. So today we have the revision class. So first, let me walk you through the syllabus, and you guys let me know your pain points. I'll take them all together. Okay. So the first chapter is, it has four contents here in mathematics. So I am doing revision of mathematics and logical reasoning. The first chapter has, yeah. First chapter has 4 units here: ratio, proportion, synthesis, and logarithms. So out of these 4 topics, as I said earlier, I have seen more problems coming in from indices. Ratios is slightly lower, but you cannot ignore any such topics. But just to give my opinion, but it need not repeat also. The past, whatever you've got, will not be the same going further. And in logarithms, we are not using any kind of log tables. Sometimes we have also you have adopted answer method also to solve these problems here. So ratios and proportions are quite similar. The only is that if you equate two ratios, it will become proportion. Indices and logarithms, they are similar. You need to apply those laws which are present. So first I'll give a brief idea, and then I'll ask you guys that which chapter you want more emphasis, and maybe there we can solve some similar problems. Okay, so that's about ratio, proportions, indices, and logarithms. You will get more twist and turn in maybe indices and logarithms, but in an equation form. It is not in a situation form. It will be like an equation which you need to solve. So even though it looks tougher in kind of indices and logarithms, you always have one option where you can try it out by answer method, where you can try and substitute and see whether the left hand side matches the right hand side. That those things could be done. Whereas in ratio and proportions, they might come up with a situation, and they might say that this was divided in this ratio, that was divided in that ratio. What could be the final output? All those things they can ask. But I have seen less likely of confusing in or twisting the questions in these chapters. But the twist will be in the equation form. That's what I would like to say here. Next chapter you have equations and matrices. I think matrices is not there in your syllabus, which for the exam which you guys are writing. So equations, most of them which we solve by answer method. And again, there is very, very less chance of any kind of questions coming in twist and turn form. The only type of question which can be twisted here is that sum of the roots and product of the roots kind of thing. So that's the only thing which might come and which might be a little bit kind of a confusing question. But otherwise, all other problems will be very simple. Straight away you can just apply the answer method and you should be able to get your answer. Okay. Next, this linear inequalities. We have done those problems from the handout which I gave you. Questions will be very similar to it. I have seen few questions which go out of the syllabus also, but since the syllabus was not very restricted, but you will always get those graphical problems. That's what I have observed in the previous question papers. The graph is what gets repeated. So for that, you need to remember those problems which we solved, and you should not solve the problem. You should also solve it from that why this is correct and why this is wrong. For example, when I was discussing the answers also, I discussed that why this is correct. If this has to be correct, how should the graph be? Or if this graph has to be correct, then what should the equations be? Those things we have discussed. So those things you should remember. Okay, next, fourth one, coming to time value of money. There is very, very less chance of twist and turn here. But the problem here is that you need to identify whether it's an annuity or a non-annuity problem, whether it is simple interest, compound interest, those kind of things, whether it is present value of annuity or future value of annuity. So if you are able to identify, you have solved the problem, which is just substitution of the formula and solving it. But it will take some time, it will take some expertise for you guys to identify it. So once you identify it, is done. It's a problem is solved. And you get solid 4 to 5 questions here, which are all direct substitution. So you will not have much of a problems in this kind of chapter. Permutation combination is a chapter where it's a difficult chapter to play on. So you have a lot of twist and turn questions coming here. But as I said, if at all they give you 4 questions, it is not that all the 4 questions will be confusing. There could be 2 questions or maybe 1 question which could be a really challenging one, because here you have more scope for giving a challenging question. So this is a kind of chapter which you need to take care of. So don't, if you're not comfortable, remember those basic questions. That is enough to solve those 2 problems out of 4. But if you're comfortable, you can go ahead and solve all of them. And this has a lot of problems also in this chapter. So that's how it goes. When are your exams?
December 13th.
13, 15, 17, 18.
Okay. So you 13, 15, 17, 18. Okay. You have a gap between each and every day.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So as I said earlier, those who have not yet started, so you are in October. First thing you have to do is that formulas. Again and again, I'll tell that formulas should be there in your mind. You should never ever miss out a problem because you did not remember the formula. Formulas are very important. So you should make sure that you remember all the formulas in the mathematics and statistics chapter. All the formulas. Okay, it should be there, tip of your hands. Even if I wake up midnight in your deep sleep, also you should be able to tell the formula and go back to sleep. So that's the kind of familiarity you should have. If you have that familiarity, half done. Next is approach. So to get the, see, in maths, it's not, yeah, practice is there, but more than writing, there is one more aspect, is that approach. If I get this problem, this is the approach. If I get this kind of a problem, this is the approach. See, like how in games, in cricket, for example, if a bouncer is there, then I will do this. If he puts it in this way, I will hit it like this. So that's the approach. That approach you should remember. So you should read the problem, understand, okay, this is the approach. Okay, go on. So you should remember those approaches and you should be thorough with that. So that's the way to solve these problems. So first, get that formula thing into your head. I don't know what method you will adopt. You will put a cardboard in your room, or you will keep listening to the formulas, or you will keep writing all the formulas once a day, whatever you want. But formulas are very important. So those who have not yet started doing this, you still have time. You can still get through it. I would say a decent 1.5 hour if you spend every day from here on, you should be good in maths and stats, because you have the solutions, whatever I've solved. Okay, we have solved all the problems of institute material. So there is nothing which is left out. It's the ball is in your court. So, and now there is a revision class happening. So you have time to ask whatever doubts you want. Even after this, if you have doubts, you can still come back. So you have the time, you have the material with you. It's up to you to deliver. Okay, next, sequence and series. So sequence and series, again, very easy chapter. No twist and turn. There are some 10% of the problems which are tough, or which will take more steps to solve. They're not tough, but they will take more steps to solve. You decide whether you want to take it or you want to leave it. Even if you leave it also, still there is good chance to score marks in this chapter. So sequence and series is something which is very easy. So the chapter which is a bit challenging will be permutations and combinations, and to some extent in this indices and logarithms, because you might not be well versed with the equations, so that's when you might lose time. Okay, sets, functions, and relations is actually quite easy, but there are few questions like those transitive, relative, reflexive, etc. You might find it a little bit tricky, but it's okay to you can still go ahead. There are other easy questions to attempt in this chapter. Last chapter, differentiation integration. Again, there are tons of formulas to remember there, but I taught you those basic problems. If you do those basic problems, it should be good enough for you to attempt at least 2 problems in the exam. So that's what I would suggest. Don't concentrate much on this chapter. This will eat away your complete time if you try to perfect this. If you know things already, good and fine. You say, sometimes people who have studied from CBSE or ICSE, you will have this differentiation integration from high school, from 8th standard. So if you're familiar, go ahead. Not familiar, don't go ahead. This will eat away your complete time, including other subjects time also. So, and sometimes I've seen math sometimes becomes very addictive. You don't want to read theory. You always want to feed your brain which he wants. That is this kind of puzzle solving or doing this, writing it on a neat and clean white paper, solving it kind of thing. You are not used to memorizing things. So, and that time, if this differentiation integration comes up, right, you will be completely lost in this chapter. So I would suggest don't do that. Okay. Next, logical reasoning. Logical reasoning, what I would suggest is that you should solve all the problem once, because every problem has its own flavor or different pattern there. And there is no formula to remember, but you should know the patterns. So until unless you solve them once, you will never get an idea. Maybe you can mark which problem you should revise during the exam time, because on one day before the exam, you just need to scan through things. You cannot revise things. It's not like your typical class exams, college exams, where one day before you read and you can write something, you can attempt if somebody would have given important questions. It is not the way one day before CA final exam or CPT for CA foundation exam will be. It's about glancing things. It's about just making sure, setting things right, checking things. That's all. You cannot do much one day before the exam. Whatever you want to do, you have to do it now. Okay. So here, I think blood relations, you need to remember those concepts, that who is that niece, uncle, nephew, etc. Okay. Seating arrangements, you need to remember the rules, that what is left to right and what is right to left, sitting opposite to each other, those things. Directional test, I don't have any doubts here, but I don't think you'll have doubts, but you should remember that directions, northwest, southwest, southeast, etc. And then you have this number series. Number series, again, this requires familiarity. For example, you might not be able to identify sometimes that how is something odd or how is something an odd man here, etc. Like, or even in predicting the series also, like you got some doubts when you were solving the problem. Similar things will come up, but you have to go through them. So here you have good opportunity to score marks. Out of 20, syllogism is not there. So even 15, if you could get through, it's a good number. Out of 100, you need to score 40. So 15, almost 50% if you get here, remaining 50% is still left in maths and stats. Right? So you have a lot of opportunities to score. Okay, so this is the revision which I'll be doing. So now, as you know, we are left with another 1 hour 15 minutes. So I'm left with the class is till 4:30. So I'm left with another 1 hour 45 minutes. So you tell me from which are the chapters that I should concentrate so that we can do some problems there.
Permutations and combinations.
Okay.
Time
Huh?
Time value only.
value and money.
Fourth.
Sorry, I didn't hear that properly. What is it? Permutations and combinations I heard, but okay. What is the next one?
Time value and money.
Time value.
Okay. So I'll start with permutation, then I'll revise the concepts of time value of money, where I'll help you to identify which is a annuity problem, non-annuity problem, which is present value, which is future value, etc. Okay. Next.
Sir, your voice is too low, sir.
Yes, sir.
Voice is low.
Sir, I think it is fine now.
Okay. Okay. So So time value of money, permutations and combinations. Any other chapter? Anyway, I'll be revising. I'll be going through the problems of all the chapters, but I'll go in this order. First, I'll take up permutations and combinations, and next, I'll take up time value of money. Okay, so I'll start with that. Yeah. So permutations and combinations. So permutation basically means arrangement. Combination says selections. So whenever they're asking you for an arrangement, it's permutation. Whenever they're asking you for a selection, it is combination. It is selection. It is combination. Or whenever they ask you combination, it is basically selection. Sometimes they might not tell you anything. So at that time, you have to decide whether it is case of arrangement or selection. So how do we decide? The outputs should not change. Suppose if I do an activity, okay. For example, I am selecting a team for a particular cricket match. Whether I select Virat Kohli first or whether I select Virat Kohli last, it is the same. He is there in the team, right? So it doesn't change the output. He is there. But whether Virat Kohli goes, if I want to arrange whether Virat Kohli goes batting first, second, third, fourth, then the outputs could be different. Okay, so that is where we go for arrangement. So you should decide whether there could be cases where whether you do arrangement or whether you do selection, it is the same output. Then you should go for selection. But if you start arranging, if you sense that you will be getting a different output, then it is arrangement. So that's how. For example, we have done few cases like shake hands. Shaking hands, whether you shake from left to right or right to left, it is always called as a shake hand. So there is no difference between a shake hand. For example, drawing line between 2 points, whether you draw the line from A to B or B to A, it's the same line. So it's only about selection. It doesn't matter about the arrangement. The output is same. Whether you draw line from A to B or B to A, it is still the same line. So output remains the same. So because of these things, we call it as permutations and combinations, and you should decide whether it is a case of arrangement or whether it's a case of selection. Okay. So formulas, hope I think you guys are familiar, which I gave you in the first class. So you normally we tend to use these kind of formulas, 4p3s, 4 into 3 into 2, where you go backwards. Okay, and 4 factorial means that you should go backwards till 1. So this is how, and 0 factorial is always 1. So these are all very simple problems. The problems which will get complicated is kind of these kind of problems. The number of arrangements of the letters in the word failure, so that the vowels are always coming together. So in this kind of problems is where you will have to understand that there is a particular group. A number of arrangements of the letters in the word failure, so that the vowels are always coming together. So this is a very common problem where you have to group something. So here we have to group the vowels. So the vowels represents A, E, I, O, and U. So if I do that, F, L, R is consonants. The vowels are A, I, U, E. So this should be together. So when you're doing this kind of an arrangement, I said that you should treat this group as an object. So you have 1, 2, 3, and 4 objects. So they're asking you specifically for arrangement. So 4 objects are taking all the 4 at random. N represents the total number of objects. P represents it is permutation, and R represents the number of objects which you're taking for arranging. So 4p4. So 4p4 into internal arrangement, whatever internal is there. So that you have to arrange, because they have not told us any restrictions on it. Sometimes they might say that you should not arrange internally in an indirect way. They'll not tell it directly, but in an indirect way. At that time, you should not do this, but here there is scope for arrangement. So here you will get the answer as 576. So this is how you do this kind of problems with related to permutation. If you have any doubts, you can stop me then and there, ask me. Okay, so that's how this problem is done. This is also very similar, like 10 examination papers are in such a way that the best and the worst papers never come together. So I had told you this approach. This is one kind of approach which you can remember, where you have the total number of arrangements, and then from that you find out how many are undesired or not required arrangements which should not come. So if you subtract from the total the undesired arrangements, you get the arrangements which basically should appear. So here they're telling the best and the worst paper should never come together. So I found out what are the ways in which the best and the worst papers work together. So I made them being together, so which means like how I grouped in failure. Here also we have grouped them. So by doing that, we get this answer 9p9, that is 9 factorial into 2 factorial. And then to find the total number of desired arrangements, you just subtract and you get your answer. So this is how 16th problem was done, where you group and you'll be able to get the answer. Any doubts if you have, you can ask me, but I assume that if there is no questions from your end, I assume that you know these things. Okay. And this is one other kind of problem. The sum of 4 digits containing the digits 2, 4, 6, 8 without repetition. So again, there is an approach to this problem. Last time I explained you why this approach is adopted. But when you are delivering or when you are getting the solution, you need not worry too much about why this method is adopted, but you should know the method. That is what it takes ultimately. So as of now, you can just remember this approach. So if you have given 2, 4, 6, 8, we do it like this. The number of first we do 4p4, that is number of objects are 2, 4, 6, 8. So 4p4 is 4 factorial, and then divide this 24 by 4. This is step 2. You get 6. This 6 you should multiply into sum of all these numbers. 6 into 2 plus 4 plus 6, you get 120. This 120, since they're asking you 4 objects, first one will be units, tens, hundreds, and thousands. Just multiply and add, you'll get your answer. So 4 steps is what you need to do. The factorial, then divide by 4, that into sum of the digits. And whatever answer you have got here, 120, that you should multiply with the respective place, like units, tens, hundreds, and thousands. Okay. This is also very common problem which will come up, like number of digits greater than 5,000, greater than 5,400, greater than 5,200, etc. All those things will come. So like I taught you, you just need to be careful that which number comes up in which place. And based on that, you can adopt or to solve the problem. Okay. So if you have solved this chapter completely, and if you have any doubts, yeah, you can ask me. And this you should be careful when you are forming the number of digits, particularly when you have this 0 figure here. So make sure that 0 doesn't come in the beginning. So you have to particularly eliminate it. Okay. So this is what is telling. So triangle, they have not told angle should be arranged. Word angle is always present. So you cannot mix the word angle. So because of which you don't arrange it internally. So internal arrangement doesn't happen here. Okay, these are also similar ones. Yeah, this is a jewel problem. You have to remember this. As I said earlier, this jewel necklace problem is a kind of problem where we are assuming that there is no, that locket or something in between. Because if there's a locket, you have to wear it only in a particular way, but this is only beads, whether you wear it left to right or right to left, it doesn't change. Hence, they're doing this divided by 2. So this is the assumption. If you get a necklace problem, this is the assumption. You always need to do the same minus 1. there is one more thing called a circular permutation. Circular permutation, but in that case, if they give you conditions like this, okay, so that is when what I'm trying to say is that don't directly put the formula, do it manually, like how we did in this 3 ladies, 3 gents kind of problem. Okay, this is only one type of a problem which actually happened. But see, you will get now if you get 4 to 5 problems, not all problems will be of conceptual type. You will have problems of this equation type also, which are easy enough to be solved. Okay, then this is also simple one. This is again one type of problem where I don't have any shortcuts to do this, but if you get kind of problems, you have to adopt this method because we can't remember the formulas for all these kinds of problems, any kind of equation. So whenever they give this, you can, or any kind of such things, you just substitute, do it manually, find the answer, but you'll 100% get the answer. It might take a minute more, but you will get the answer. These are combinations. Okay, here also it's very similar. This one, you might sometimes get confused when to apply the 2 power n or 3 power n kind of formula. So if you're not comfortable, don't remember that formula. You can do this through this way. That is the number of ways in which you can invite 1 or more friends. It means that he can either invite 1 friend, 2 friends, 3 friends, or 4 friends, kind of thing. So you can do it. And when you're doing these combinations, please be sure that how you are doing this in one step in your calculator. I've seen many people, what they do is that 8 into 7 into 6 into 5 into 4, okay, divided by 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into. This is how you will punch in your calculator. If you do that, it is wrong. 8 into 7 into 6 into 5 into 4, divided by 5, divided by 4, divided by 3, divided by 2. That's how it goes, okay. You should get the answer is 56. So that you should remember in your calculator. At that time, it will be easy for you to solve these kind of problems to a large extent. Okay, this committee kind of problem also many times it has come, but very less likely to appear. But these are simple problems which have come at least once or twice it has come. But the disadvantage of this problem is that it will take time because it's a lengthier one, so it will take some time for us to solve. Okay, and this is also this. I think this problem. Did we solve this problem? 9th one of combinations, because it's a lengthier one. It's even if you go by answer method also it becomes very lengthy. So I think I asked you to take a screenshot and you guys should try it in your home. That's what I had asked you. But don't expect this kind of problems to come in the exam. Very, very unlikely. Because there is no shortcut for this. Even if you go by answer method, it will take a lot of time. So, but if you go by procedural method also, it's too much calculation intensive. So it will take some time. Okay, these points, collinearity and all we discussed. Okay, parallelogram thing also we discussed that 4 lines, another 4 lines. So you just need 2 lines from one side and 2 lines from the other side to form a parallelogram, and that we got it here as 18. There is one kind of problem, this division among the students, which we had kept it to the last. We solved this at the last. So we had two kinds of problems which look very similar. Whereas first one, the number of ways in which 12 students can be equally divided into 3 groups. Okay, where there is no name for the grouping, you are just dividing it. Whereas in the second kind of a problem, you are there is a person to whom it will be allocated. For example, number of ways in which 15 mangoes can be equally divided among 3 students. So there are 2 characters here. One is mango, the other is student. Whereas in this case, it is only student. That's all. Okay, there is no other character. So there is this approach which we do here. Here it's straightforward. 15 C5 into 10 C5 into 5 C5. But here You do that divided by that 3 factorial, because they can take any group names. First set can take any group names. Like I said, I have given an example here. ACG, this ACGJ is group 1 here, but it can also be termed as group 3 here. So it will start labeling. So because that gets repeated, this same group ACGH is again getting repeated here, we eliminate those repetitions by dividing by 3 factorial. So just remember that whenever in division, if there are 2 characteristics, no problem. But if you are just asking me to divide, then there is a problem where I have to do this divide by 3 factorial. Not only 3, in 4 groups, how much ever groups are formed. Okay, this is also that community problem which we solved. This is a formula. This has also appeared once in your exams, CA Foundation. So it's a formula to be remembered. So if you remember this formula, I don't think so you have any problems there. Next one is the Supreme Court problem. So I had explained this, that how many ways you have to do so that the decision get reversed is what they were asking. So I had explained this, and the decision get reversed on majority. So these were also easy. So when you're trying to do it with when you're trying to do it with what is this repetitions, Calcutta, America, that 2 C's, 2 T's, 2 A's, how do you define the number of arrangements? It's by this division. Hope you remember this thing, yeah. Okay. And this is a typical kind of problem. It's a worked example, examination. So I had solved this. As I said, this is a tough kind of problem, 10% kind of problem. If you're not comfortable with this, I suggest that you leave this problem. See, that's what I'm telling you. Whatever you have learned, be confident in that. Because this kind of problem, this examination kind of problem, which were tough to understand and break it through, these are very rare kind of problems. It might come, it may not come. Okay, and not all and remember, from this chapter, we get at least 3 to 5 problems. Not all the 3 to 5 problems will be of this difficulty level. There could be some easy problems also. Maybe 1 problem max will come at this level. Okay, this also we had solved. Any particular problem, if you have doubt, you can ask me. Otherwise, I'm just going through this. This is also one approach which you need to remember. Number of different factors which you have found from 75,600. So this also you have to kind of do this method where you need to do this LCM and arrange it in this way and this multiply them. So this is the answer for finding the number of factors. So this is what I was telling, approach. You should know that in corner of your brain that somebody asked me to find the number of factors, then I should do this. So like that, somebody asked me this, I should do this. Like this is the approach. There are many such approaches which you need to remember, both in stats and maths. How will you get that approach? It is through familiarity. So solve those problems every day and you'll get some amount of familiarity. Okay, this also we did. This is also kind of a tough problem. I solved it at the end, but you can again ignore them in case if you're not comfortable. Okay, so now since we have done through, let me take the recent question paper, July 2021. July 20, where in 2021? Yeah, recent 2021 question paper, and let's see whether you can solve the problems or not. Okay. 16th one. NP6 is equal to, did we solve permutation and combination question paper first? We didn't solve, right? We only solved for ratio proportions or something like that. First few chapters. Anyway, 16th problem. If NP6 is equal to 20 NP4, find the value of N. N is given by what? Try now. This is very recent. Many in this batch also would have written, or seniors might have written. NP6 is equal to 20 NP4, then the value of N is given. First, do you think we have solved this problem in the class? Is it familiar? It is familiar, yeah. Manyata is shaking her head. Others are doing. Okay.
So option C.
Okay. Others.
Nine.
Yes, option C, sir.
Sachindra, you got the answer? Option C. Okay. First, before even me solving the problem, first let me prove that have we solved that problem in the class. Because I remember solving that problem. Hmm. 11th problem. This is the problem. Okay, similar one, correct? They have not given NP4. It is not copy paste, but it's a copy paste for SCA. NP6 is equal to 20. So at least you can solve. So, what is the answer? Everybody got?
Option C.
Option C.
Option
Okay.
C.
Either you can go by answer method or you can solve it the way which we have learned in the class. Okay. Try the next one. Next one also we have done. How many number of 7-digit numbers which can be formed from the digits 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9? No digits being repeated. No digits being repeated. No digits being repeated are not divisible by 5. What is the equation? Something is missing there. How many number of 7 digits can be formed from the digits 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? No digits being repeated and are not divisible by 5. Okay, it should not be divisible by 5 is the condition. It should not be divisible by 5.
Sir, option A.
Okay, others please try. 6, 7, 8. Okay, you have 8 numbers there and they want only 7-digit numbers. It should not be divisible by 5.
Option A.
Option A. Okay. So we have done this kind of promise, like divisible by, not divisible by 4, etc. So it is divisible by 5. Divisible. So you have 8 numbers there, starting from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they want 7-digit numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not be divisible by 5 means 5 should not come here, correct? 5 should not come here. So how many more numbers can come here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 6 numbers can come here. 6 P1 or C1. Okay, if out of these 6 numbers, okay, out of these numbers, 1 has come here. How many more numbers can come in any of these places? There is no 0 here, so it's still more simpler. So 7 numbers can come here, right? 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7P6, correct? So 7P6 into 6P1. What is the answer? Seven P6 means 7 into 6 into 5 into 4 into 3 into 2. 7 into 6 into 5 into 4 into is gone like 6 times, okay, into 6.
Sir, it's 66, no, sir. There are 6 places and 6 numbers.
Yeah, so 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Yeah, 6p6. So 6p6, 6 factorial. 6 into 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1 into 6. 4320. So I'll show you kind of problems which you've done, like this was very similar. 4 digits being formed, none of them being repeated, and this is also very similar. But there was one problem. I think it should not be divisible by 2 or divisible by 4, something like that. Then we had it. Number of even numbers greater than 300. So even numbers means we know that the last number can either be 2 or 4 kind of condition. Here also it is the same thing, that last number should not be 5, because they are telling it should not be divisible. Okay. 18th one.
Option A.
Option A, sir. Yes, sir, it's option A.
Yeah. Have you done this problem?
Yes, sir.
That train problem, no? Going from A to B, not coming back to the same, similar. Okay. See, as I said, there will be 4 problems that given. Okay. So in any of these things, you did not get the examination problem, you did not get that big lengthier equation problem. Though it would have come worst case scenario, it will be only one problem. Still, there will be 3 more problems to solve. And this is, I mean, when we got the feedback, students said the paper was a little bit on the tougher side. But since Chinmay is in there in most of the classes, she also felt that these problems look familiar. You cannot say that you have modified or given us problems which are already come in the question paper. No, I am teaching institute material. Institute material is there since 20 years. Same problem. So the logic which I want to prove is that if you are thorough with institute material, you can solve most of the problems in the question paper. And we have solved all the problems of the institute material. And it is not necessary for you to solve additional questions. Only in time value of money I have solved additional questions, correct? Apart from that, in any of the chapters I have not solved. These problems don't come from additional questions. Because till now, in particularly in maths, they have not deviated too much from the difficulty levels. They don't experiment much with maths question paper. So that's what my experience with each and every question paper, because like how you evaluate yourself in every test, I evaluate myself with every batch. That whatever I have taught, did it make justice? Did it help them out? So first evaluation is that I immediately try to take the question paper and try to compare and see what has happened. As soon as the exam has happened, it will take for a week for somebody like this to upload. Then I get it cross-verified. That did you see the similar questions? There could be 80-90% matching. That is also fair enough. Once it is there, then I'll assess myself that whatever I have taught is come or not. I'll look like a normal student. Though I'm teaching this from 10-12 years, I might be very familiar, but I will get into a mindset of a normal student and see whether whatever is being taught, is it applied? Can a student apply? An average student, can an average student apply this? So because an average student, if you give more twist and turn, it will be very tough. But if it is in line with expectations, that should be a match. So these things were pretty easier. You could do it. I mean, first target is crossing that 40 marks. Can you cross the 40 marks? Next target is, can you make it above 60? Out of 100 first class, can you make it above 60? Next target is, can you reach above 70? Next target is, can you reach above 80? Once you enter into above 80 range, you are entering into the rank score. 84, 85, these are rank scores. So you should know where you are. It's like for a person, if you just keep on batting, you should know whether you are near to a century or whether you are near to a half century, etc. Correct, like that. So once you are above 80, you are near to rank score. So you should know that you can gauge that how much risk you can take on the questions which are answered. Okay, can you try this 19th one? Number of ways in which 5 boys, 5 girls can be seated so that no 2 boys are adjacent to each other.
Sir, option B.
Option B.
Option B. So boys cannot, 2 boys cannot sit together. That is what they're telling. So which means you need to place it like 1 boy, 1 girl, 1 boy, 1 girl. Okay. So yeah, how did you go about doing this problem? 19th one, 5 boys, 5 girls. So here if you place a boy, here will be a girl. Boy, girl. So this is how it goes. So you have 5 boys and 5 girls. Yeah. So how did you approach the problem? Boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. Yeah, it went on. So yeah, can somebody tell me? Somebody who said option B? Rahul, you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how did you take up the problem? N minus 1 factorial you did, or how did you?
Sir, I did 5 factorial into 4 factorial.
5 factorial into 4 factorial. So this is 120 into 20. Okay. So 5 factorial into 4 factorial. So what made you do this? 5 factorial to 4 factorial. 5 boys are there, and then 4 girls are there. So 5 girls are there. So why did you decrease this by 1?
Sir, first we'll arrange 5 girls in 5 different places, and then we have 5 places in that circular permutation.
So that's correct. So here what has happened is that, assume that you either fix boy circles, whichever you want. So here these boys are fixed, which means if they want to move, they'll only move in these locations only. They cannot move there. Whereas these girls also, they can move in any of these locations. But yeah. So at that time, only for one of them you have to give this arrangement 5 factorial. And for the others, since one location is fixed, you have to remove it from them. So in circular permutation, what happens is that if you have 5 objects, okay, we take the permutation as n minus 1 factorial. Correct. But you cannot do this n minus 1 factorial for both of them. Both for boys and girls, you cannot do it at the same time. At that time, you'll be reducing it by 2. So we keep boys separate. You can do it for anyone. And girls, you do it that n minus 1 factorial, which is 4 factorial. So this is how you can actually solve the case. 5 factorial into 4 factorial. So out of 4 problems, I think except for this 19 problem, it was not there completely in your institute material or the problems which you have solved. It was there to some extent, half problem. Maybe I can say like that, because here there was a problem on circular permutation. Yeah, these were the problems on circular permutation. So we had done this kind of problems. Number of ways in which 7 girls form a ring, n minus 1 factorial. 7 boys sit in a round table, 2 particular boys may sit together. So you group them and then do the circular permutation. That also we had done. Necklace problem we had done. 3 ladies, 3 gents also we had done. But this was a kind of problem where you have equal number and they can arrange among themselves. But it was not the kind of problem which we had seen here. So it's something like this was a different condition altogether. And even here, even this was also a different type of condition. So maybe, as I said, half problem was done. So worst case scenario, even if you have got this problem wrong, in permutation, looking at this chapter, you should get 3 marks and minus 0.25 if it goes wrong worst case scenario. So 3 and 2.75 marks is what you can expect. So that's the best which you can get from this chapter. So what I'm trying to say here is that don't ignore the problems of permutation and combination just by looking at few problems which you are not comfortable. So go through all the problems. You will get easy problems like this which are easily solvable. There could be one problem like this which is slightly confusing. So, but still there is good amount of marks to be scored. Okay. Okay. Now I'll go to the next chapter, time value of money, because you have to cover all the chapters. Okay. See, time value of money, I'll first explain the concepts here. Hope you don't have any confusion with the concept of simple interest, compound interest. Any confusions here? Okay. Next, annuity, non-annuity. Any confusions here? Okay. Annuity means you should make sure the amount is repeated in the same interval. Okay. Whatever it is, either giving or taking. Okay. Next, present value of annuity, future value of annuity. Do you have any confusions? Okay. Present value of annuity means what? Either I will get money, 1,000, yeah, 1,000. Either I'll get money 1,000 in the future. What is its value today? Or I'll pay 1,000 in the future. What is its value today? Now, what is meant by what is its value today? What is the logical meaning of what is the value? For example, assume that I am going to get 1,000 in the next 4 years. Present, what is the present value? Somebody is asking. What does it mean? Okay, let's assume that somebody says it is worth 3,600. What is the meaning of this 3,600?
Principal including interest.
Which means that today if I have 3,600 and if I go and deposit in a bank of whatever interest you are telling some interest, no, the 10% interest for 1,000, you will get, it is today's value is 3,600. So which means that if I give this 3,600 to this guy who is claiming 10% interest, he will give me 1,000 in the next 4 years. You are able to understand present value of annuity. Or loan. Suppose 1,000. If you pay, loan is repaid. So which means that what is the present value of this? It is actually so this much you have taken. if you want to repay with interest, you have to pay 1,000. Then the loan will get repaid off. So present value of annuity basically represents, you can think like this, it's that one lump sum money, one big money, which is present today. Annuities, see, don't ever do the mistake of judging an annuity problem or present value of future value of annuity problem based on annuities. That is what most of you will get confused. Annuity will be present today also, tomorrow also, both in present value and future value. You should always judge the problem based on the big amount. Where is the big amount? Is it now or is it in the future? If it is now, then it is present value of annuity. If it is coming in the future, it is future value of annuity. Did you understand? So I'll get some money in the future, sir. So that's why I'm paying today. Then it is future value of annuity. Sir, today I've taken the loan, sir. I have to pay back to pay off the loan. Then it is present value of annuity. So today, if I give you this much, you will give me 1,000 for the next 10 years. Okay, then it is present value of annuity. So that big amount, wherever it is, whichever tense it is lying, that is called as that particular annuity. If it is present today, it's called present value of annuity. If it is present in the future, it is called as future value of annuity. Okay, so that's how this this annuity problem goes. Any other doubts here? Okay. Then there are two more variations in these annuities. One is called as a regular. The other is called as due or immediate. You did not find a single question in the institute material on due or immediate, but there is one worked example for both present value and future value in your institute material for due or immediate. What is the difference between regular and due or immediate? Regular basically means that the payment happens at the end of the month. End of the month, the payment happens. Payment or receipt, whatever it could be. Suppose if I'm telling you that you are paying 1,000 every month, so every month you are paying at the beginning of the month or end of the month. Somebody asks you the question. Then it is called, if you are paying at the end of the month, it is regular. If you are paying at the beginning of the month, it is due or immediate. That's how it goes. But in most of the real world, what they do is that they take, you can start the EMI from whichever month you want. So they take that exact date for calculation. So there you will not have this confusion. But in your institute material, we don't have this date kind of questions. So we have to remember this concept regular. If they have not mentioned anything, it is always regular. Future value of annuity. Also, if you present value of annuity, if you are paying the loan, sir, I'm paying EMI every month. EMI every month you are paying when? You are paying beginning of the month, end of the month. Then if it is beginning, then it is due or immediate. If it is the end, it is regular. So most of the problems are regular unless until they specify. Okay, it is always regular. You have just one worked example on due or immediate in your institute material. For that, there will be a small variation in the formula. You can see that formula later, but that's the only variation in the formula. Okay. Any other doubts here in this kind of problems? Okay. So apart from that, it's all very simple here. It's just plain application of the concepts here. Yeah, so Any doubts you guys can ask me. So these are some basic problems. Like simple interest, finding simple interest, finding the principal, finding the amount, etc. Okay, here the simple interest problems were very easy. You guys had done it on your own in the class. Here I will not interfere much. Okay, this calculator, are you guys comfortable? 1.05 to the power 4. How do you find that? Are you guys comfortable? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's major area of concern. Okay, then there is one more, that trial and error method is what I need to check. Okay, in compounding, sometimes they'll tell this half yearly compounding, quarterly compounding. So see, and there is one major challenge here in your classes. Suppose somebody asks you to find compound interest amount. This is the formula, right? Suppose somebody asks you to find for a principal of 1,000, 10% for 2.5 years. How will you do this?
Calculate for n equals to 2 and n equals to 3. Then select the middle value in the options.
That 1.01 to the power 2 and square root of it.
Okay. What did you say?
2.5 into 12 months.
No, 2.5 years. So my concern is that I cannot find to the power of 2.5 in the calculator. Right. This is the problem.
Then first we'll find the power 2 and then we'll find the square root.
First you'll find 1.1 to the power 2 and then you lose square root of this.
No, sir. Into 1.1 to the power 1 by 2.
Okay, square root of this. Okay, okay, that's a smart way to do. So what Rahul is telling is that 1.1 square into 1.1 to the power of 1 by 2, which is 0.5, which is nothing but square root. So bases are same. If you add up the powers, you will actually get 1.1 to the power of 2.5. Yeah. Suppose if this is 2.6, then it becomes more tricky, correct? So as per my knowledge goes, these kind of problems have come up in your PUC or in your BCom also. But there, you will be given log tables. You can find 1.1 to the power of 2.6 using log tables. Like let this be equal to x, take log on both sides. This will become 2.6 log 1.1. Then you take anti-log, you get these answers. But that is not encouraged in a CA foundation because you are not given log tables, right? Okay. So CA foundation here, 99%. I have never seen such numbers coming in. That is one case. Okay. Second, what you can try to do is that, you know, at least to get the closest answer, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. So let me take it as 2.7. Okay. 1000 into 1.1 to the power of 2.7. Let's check technically what is correct. What is the exact answer? So 1.1 to the power of 2.7. You get something like this. 1000 into, what is that? 1.2934. 1.2934. 1.2934. So if you multiply this with 1000, 1293.48. Okay, so 1293.48. So now I don't know what is this 0.7. So So if I best what I can do is that it is 1000 into 1.1 square. This much I can go. And after this, I need to apply interest only for 7 months, correct? Only for 7 months I have to apply the interest. So 1000 into 1.1 square, how much will I get?
1210.
1210. One smart way to do is that I know definitely my answer is more than 1210, which is 1293. Okay. Another way to do is that, so 1000 into 1.1 cube, if I do, is how much I get? 1.1 into 1.1, 1331. So yeah, I know now for a fact that my answer is lying between 1210 and 1331. This is because you know the answers, right? ABCD. It's not like your PUC where you have to show them the answer. You know, so I know that for a fact my answer should lie between 1210 and 1331. This is one approach. Okay, you can sometimes I think people what they try to do is that they add that extra interest for half month or something like that. For example, assume that 10% is paid only for half month. So on this 1210, you put another 5% interest because it is 2.7. So 2.7, 1210. For 1 year it is 10%. So half means how much? See, first you should understand here 2.7. 2.7 means how many months you will have? You will have 0.7 into 12 is 8.4 months. Correct. This much is there. So for 5 months, for half year, that is for 6 months, if I'm able to calculate. 6 months means how much? 1210 into 5%, because full year it is 10%, half year it is 5%, into 0.05, that is 5%. I get 60.5. So 60.5 plus 1210 is 1270. See, I'm getting close here. So 1270. So I know that my answer is very near to this number. It should be definitely about just about this number. So thereby I can take. This is one trial and error method which you can adopt. So otherwise you have to take log, anti-log, etc. That is one which is very tough to work. But doing this method should be sufficient enough. But as I said, 99% time you don't have, they have not given such problems. And even in institute material, you don't find a single problem which has this kind of complexity. But in your PUC or in your BCom, you have kind of problems which start from dates, correct? From this date to this date, this is the interest rate and all. But here you don't have those problems. Okay, even in the question paper also, I've never seen such problems. This scrap value problem and all, I think you have done. This is the trial and error method where you need to find n. So in a typical PUC or in BCom, you will be given log tables, or you'll also, I think scientific calculators are allowed only in PUC. In your BCom and MBA, you will not be allowed scientific calculator. Now, this was the trial and error method where I need to find out 0.8 to the power what will give me 0.3. And the answers options will be like this, like 4.5, 5.45. But as I said earlier, you will not have none of this, and these options will be very far from each other because institute definitely knows that you are not given log tables. Okay. And now 0.8 to the, so I'll start from the lowest number here. So 4.5 is there, so I'll start from 4. 0.8 to the power 4 is 0.4096. 0.8 to the power 5 is 0.3276. 0.8 to the power 6 is 0.2661. So what I do is that I know that 0.3 is lying between 5 and 6 here. So I select 5.4 as the answer. Again, there are questions that, sir, if you have one more option like 5.5, 5.7, what do you do? Such options were never given in the institute material. Okay, and you cannot solve them if you are given such options. You need log tables only to solve them. Okay, and you can also take none of these. Again, none of this will not be given. You will be forced to select an answer. See, in MBA CAT exam, when you entrance exam for MBA, there is a subject called as, or there is a paper called as data interpretation. The whole purpose of the paper is to work in this way, where you will not, in that entrance exam, you will not even be given calculators. Okay, and you are supposed to find the closest answer and match it. But their answers will be accurate answers, but you are not given calculator. You are still supposed to do this kind of interpretation method and do it. So what I'm trying to say is that what I'm teaching you is a normal procedure where the institute definitely wants to check this particular skill set of yours, interpretation skill set. It's not about your speed or your memory on the calculator, but your interpretation skill set. So here, this is the approach. So I need to find which is that, so that it will give us closer to 0.3. So we found that the answer lies between 5 and 6. So which is, the answer is 5.4. Okay. And whenever they say this compounding half yearly, you should divide the interest rate by 2, multiply the number of years by 2, and then use it in a formula straight. Okay, no confusions here. Quarterly means divided by 4, monthly means divided by 12. Okay, most of these things we had done. Okay, next coming to annuities. Yeah, these were the formulas and annuities. So as I said, all the problems are in regular, except in that worked example. There is one example given for annuity due or immediate future value, and there is one example given for present value also, annuity due or immediate. You can I didn't touch anything. I don't know. Okay. So you can look at that example. Nothing. There is no difference. Just that small difference in the formula. Okay. Now coming to the interpretation here. Hope you guys are clear with this calculator calculations. Okay. If you are not using the memory option of your calculator, I would suggest to take 4 decimals when you are solving this kind of problems, 4 to 5 decimals when you are solving this kind of problems. And the answers will be far away and you will not be given none of these kind of things. Or many times they will only give you this value, 1.05 to the power 45 to the power 15. What is it? They will only give you this answer. Okay. So this was a straightforward problem that they're asking what is future value. So whenever they tell loan, then you should remember that it is present value of annuity. If they ask you to clear the loan, what is the amount each installment to cover and all, it is present value of annuity. It's no doubt about this. See again here, company borrows 10,000 on the condition to repay. Borrowing 10,000 is always annuity. This, there was some confusion. Person invests ₹500 at the end of each year with the bank, which pays interest at 10% per annum, compound interest annually. The amount standing to is credited 1 year after he has made his yearly investment for the 12th time. So any doubts here in this kind of problem? So here they're asking you that he will continue to invest for 12 years, but he will not withdraw the money after 12th year. He will withdraw the money 1 year after he has made his yearly investment for the 12th time. So I will have done this, I've found the future value for 12 years, and after that, I'll add 1 year of interest to it. So that's what we've done. Okay, these are all straightforward problems. This is that sinking fund, sorry, this is that what is that present value of infinity. What I think it is also called as what? Perpetuity, correct? Perpetuity. Okay, then these are all simple problems here. This cash down price. Hope you guys have understood cash down price. Cash down price is present value of the EMI payments which you have taken, okay, plus the down payment. Basically, cash down price is the loan which you have taken plus the down payment which you have done. That is the cash down price. So how much loan you have taken? You have taken 56,375. To repay of this 56,375, how much are you paying? I am paying 4,000 rupees, 5% interest rate for 25 years. That's the thing. So, but they have not told you this loan amount. They have told you that you are paying 4,000, 25 years, 5% interest. Now you pay 20,000. So they'll ask you what is cash down price. So first find the loan amount, that is the present value of this 4,025 years 5% plus the down payment will give you cash down price. Okay. This is also simple. Okay, here we solved additional question bank also. Yeah, this is that Johnson left in like this problem is never come up again. I solved it at the end. You can skip this problem also. This is a very lengthy problem to solve. So most of the things we have done. So nothing to worry here. Yeah, there is this sinking fund. Hope you understood the concept of sinking fund. It's normal problem, but that sinking fund basically means that it's a fund which is meant for a particular purpose, and this is future value of analytic because you are doing something to get that money. So that's how it works. This retirement also sometimes it has come. Apu retires at 60 years, pension of 14,400 a year paid in half yearly installments for the rest of his life. After reckoning his life expectation to be 13 years. So which means that the insurer, there's something called as underwriting which happens where they will guess to what extent you will be alive. Based on that, your insurance amount will be fixed. So here also it's a similar one. So your expectation is 13 years. So based on that, they are telling that we'll pay you 7,200 for the rest of your life. That's what they promise. They'll not tell you that you know that you'll be alive for 13 years and hence you die. But they will give you this option that 7,200 for the rest of your life. And the rate of interest is 4%. What single sum is equivalent to his pension? So at that time, you should find the present value. That means today, how much do you need so that you'll be able to pay 7,200 for 13 years. So here also it's present value of money. This is the problem which I discussed, which was not there in the institute material, but it's a worked example. So let me tell you this concept once again. First, let's read the problem. A machine can be purchased for 50,000. Machine will contribute 12,000 for the next 5 years. Assuming borrowing cost is 10% per annum computed annually, determine whether the machine should be purchased or not. So last time, so the machine cost is 50,000. It will give me 12,000 for the next 5 years. So if I add everything, it is giving me 60,000. Question is that should we purchase this machine or not? Okay, so how did we solve this problem? Okay, so I said that if you look at 50 versus 60, it is wrong. I said that you are giving 50,000 now and you are getting 12,000 in the next 5 years. Okay, so let's calculate the present value of these 12,000. Who is giving this? This is given by business, right? Okay, now there is a bank. Okay, how much is that bank? Assume borrowing cost is 10%. So bank is giving you how much? 10% interest. So if I have to get the same money from the bank, okay, then what is the amount which I should keep in the bank? So I said that is nothing but present value of money. So if you find the present value of money for 5 years for a payment of 12,000, you get the answer is 45,489.44. So which means what? You put 50,000 in business, you get 12,000. Okay, you put 45,489 in a bank, still you get 12,000. So what will be your conclusion? Yeah, don't put in business. Correct. Because it is giving you less than average returns. That's the conclusion. So we conclude that this machine should not be purchased at this price. Yeah, clear? Yeah. Okay. But yeah, so this is how most of the business work. Most of the things they work in this mode itself. But unfortunately, many times even the most smartest of all the people will will fail in might be in understanding this. For example, if you look at the current companies, do you know any online company which is making profits? Any e-commerce company like BigBasket, Flipkart, Indian e-commerce companies? What all you have? Flipkart, then what else? BigBasket. I could only think of two. Then whatever you think, Zomato, Swiggy, Uber. So Uber is foreign. Ola. Any of these companies are making profit? None of them are making profit. None of them are making profit. Okay, but still, they're in hopes that tomorrow they'll make profit. Okay, but there is cash flow, so tomorrow they'll make profit. So the concept of profitability doesn't exist. It's all about whether you're having sufficient cash flows or not. So again, there still banks give loan, investors do invest because they are assuming that tomorrow it will come up, and they have some equation like this. We have a very simple equation, but they'll have more complicated equation under various conditions. So that's how those business run. But whenever you're taking a business call, these are the things we should consider. Okay. Suppose if you're sitting in front of a client, and client asks you this question, from a chartered accountant perspective, you have to give this answer. So from a business perspective, there could be many other things. For example, business is not always started to make money. It's all about passion, making it work and all. For example, Tata has bought that Indian Airlines for 80,000 crores. It's actually, if you think from number game, it's not worth paying 80,000 crores because there's already some 40,000 crores of debt on Air India. So we already have 40,000 crores. Top of that, I should give 80,000 crores and buy. It's like what? You trying to get into an association where you have to repay off somebody else's debt, and you also need to uplift that guy. Why would you do that? You'll not do that, right? But since, as I said, Tata's, they said it's more of passion, more of what is that? New business adding to their vertical. So they have taken that risk. But from a chartered accountant perspective, numbers are not good. Okay, same thing here. The company is considering proposal of purchasing machine either by making full payment of 4,000 or by leasing it for 4 years at the annual rate of 1,250. So again, as I said, in a lease problem here, please understand that leasing means you give the money, you will not get back. So it means you can make for 4,000 rupees, you can pay, okay, or you pay 1,250, 1,250 every year. Which course of action is preferable by the company? So again, you have two options in front of you. Either you pay 4,000 now, or you pay 1,250 for the next how many years? 4 years. Okay. 14% is the interest rate. So if I pay 1,250 for the next 4 years, I am paying 5,000 rupees. Whereas if you pay now, you are only giving 4,000 rupees. So which one is profitable is what you will ask. Should I give 4,000 or should I pay 1,250 every year? So if you compare the total sum 4,000, 5,000, obviously 5,000 looks bigger. So you will say you pay only 4,000 rupees. But that's not the case. You should compare present with present. So 4,000 is something which you are giving now. 1,250 you give it in future in annuities. So what is the present value of this 1,250? What is the interest rate? 14%. So if you find the present value of this, Rate is 14%. Number of periods is 4. PMP is minus 0. You get 3642. Okay, so what I do, I will say that if I want 1250 for the next 4 years, I have to just give 3642 to a person, and he will be able to give me this 1250. Whereas if I have to pay now, to compensate the 1250, I have to pay 4000 rupees. So better I'll not pay this 4000 rupees. I will actually pay 1250 every year. So that's the logic here. So if you are a chartered accountant of a company, you will, and if the manager asks you that, what should we do? How should we pay the rent? Should we pay? Suppose if you go to Indonesia, there the rent, here you pay monthly rent, right? There you pay rents like for 1 year, this is the rent. For 2 years, this is the rent. 3 years, this is the rent. That's how they pay. Whereas in India, we do always pay monthly rents. So if you are taking a call there, then this helps you out. So what is the meaning? The chartered accountant will say that, sir, you don't pay 4000. Instead of that, we'll invest 3642 in a bank account, which gives us 14% interest. He will give us 1250 every year. So it's more beneficial because we are getting more interest compared to what is being asked right now. So compared to these two present values, 3642 is lesser. Hence, we continue with this option of paying 1250 every year. So that's how you take it on. So we say this leasing it for 4 years is what is better. Okay, so let's solve few problems here. Okay, so there are many problems here. Okay, let's have few problems here. So they have given some 10 problems. Huh? More problems. Okay, I don't know how so many problems are given here. I'm not sure. Okay, let's at least try to 20th and 21st one.
So 20th option D.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, others also try.
Option D, sir.
Okay. 21st. First, it's equal annual installments.
Sir, we get 8,323.
Okay. So what are they telling? A loan of 1 lakh. So its present value is 1,02,000 is to be paid back in 2 equal installments. So N is 2 here. 2 equal annual installments. So it's here. If the rate of interest is 4%, so rate of interest is 4% per annum compound, then the total interest charged under this installment plan is how much? Okay. So loan is need to be repaid. So we need to understand how much did he repay. Okay. So how much? So if we can calculate the annuity, then we'll be able to get to know that how much he is repaid. So if you apply the formula, you can apply the formula and do. How did you do it in the same way, Rahul?
Sir, I did compound it.
But here it's annuity problem, because he is telling that it is to be paid back in 2 equal annual installments.
Yes, sir. Got it.
2 equal annual installments. So 2 means it's there and it's annual installments. So rate and per. So he's paying 54,080 every year to be paid off. So total he has paid 1,800 something this much. So this minus this will give you 6,160. Option A is the answer. Any doubts here? Any doubts here?
No, sir.
Okay. Can you try the next one? See, next one they have given this value. Reserved error.
Sir, we need to find out present value, no, sir.
If the desired future value after 5 years, 18% is 150, then the present value is
Okay, sir.
but I think, but is it an annuity problem or a non-annuity problem?
Sir, nothing is given, so annuity, sir.
It is not annuity. It is not annuity. But next, is it simple interest or compound interest?
Component.
Compound.
Yeah, given by that clue, 1.18 to the power 5 looks like this compound interest. Okay. So basically, they're asking you to find what principal, right? So compound interest amount is equal to principal into 1 plus r to the power of n. Okay, so here the compound interest desired value, future value after 5 years with 18% interest rate is 150. So 150,000 equal to this present value of principal into 1 plus 18% to the power of n 5.
Option.
Option B.
Option B. So I think now you have understood decimals and all. See, we are getting 6556.38. There we see 65568. So you can easily find there is none of these. You have to pick an answer. You will pick option B as the answer.
Option B, sir.
B. B for Paul. Yeah. Okay. So like this, you can continue doing the problems. This annuity problems could be easily solved. There is no doubt about it. So any other doubts in this annuity chapter? Okay. Ratios and proportions, I don't think so. You will have much of doubts here. These are very, very simple questions. We started off doing these questions here. But here proportions also you should not have any doubts. Very simple things. Indices, you might have see this kind of questions. If you do it once or twice, you'll get that confidence. But these kind of questions do come up in the exam. Let's see what had come last year. Okay. They've given this is on kind of what do you suggest? Indices, and this is on logarithms. Yeah, 2 questions have come. But this kind of problem we have done. Second one, this show you. But that first one was not there. This actually this is from your additional questions. They have picked it up and posted it here. Logarithms, if you observe, yeah, this kind of question, 16th one, and the second question, I think similar. Log x base 4, log x base 16, log x 64, log x base 2 is 250, the value of x is. So bare minimum, you can go by answer method. You can try going by answer method. If not, if you had solved this problem, you can apply the same logic here, you will get the answer. So second problem is same as this 16th problem which was solved. So I don't think so you'll have much of challenge in indices and all. It's not that much there. Next is equations. Equations, as I said, that that sum of the roots and product of the roots, you'll have some problems there. Otherwise, the rest of the chapter remains easy. And inequalities is all about those graphs. Then time value of money, permutation and combinations. Yeah, AP-GP, I have taught you those answer methods like SN and TN. That will be very effective. So let's see problems here from AP-GP. Okay. Can you try this first one? The number of terms of the series 5 plus 7 plus 9 must be taken so that the sum is 480. What series is that? What series is that? AP. Yeah. So they're asking you to find N. And what else they've given? They've given SN or TN?
SN.
Yes. Yeah. So try solving this one problem.
An option A.
Yeah, option A. Yeah, others also just try that. You can try the second one also. It's also very similar.
Sir, option C.
Okay. So this is good. So a sequence and series also, you will not have much issues there. You can solve the problem. So most, yeah. Just that you should identify whether CP or GP and you'll be able to solve. I don't think so you'll have any challenges here. Sets, functions, and relations. See, sets, functions, and relations, you will get easy problems on sets. That relations and functions, I think something where you might get a little bit confused. So let's see here. Okay. Now let's solve this problem. Okay. See, first one, the range of the function f is defined is what? So have we solved this problem earlier? Fourth one. Let one say it, sir. Yeah, fourth one, have we solved this problem in the institute material? Have we solved this problem? Okay, let me show the problem. We had solved one problem similar to this is the 13th one. 1 minus 1 by for all integral values of x is the set which one they were asking. So this is that range. So here, what will be the range? So it means the range of the function f, okay, is defined by 16 root of f of x is equal to 16 minus x square. Okay, here they have not said whether it is integer or not. Okay,
So option C.
option C. Yeah. So which means x, if you take 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on, you can, I think you can take only till how much? Till x is 4, right? Because after that you'll get negative numbers, which is complex numbers. So 0, if you x is 0, you get the answer as 4. X is 1, you get a lesser number than 4. And 2 also, you get a lesser number of 1. 4, 3, and 4 will become 0. Yeah. So option C is the correct one, 0, 4. I think we one more problem also we get done in the square brackets type, that logarithm problem. And I'll explain that square brackets in that problem. Yeah, this one. This problem. So the range of the function f of x, see the same sentence, the range of the function f of x is equal to f of x log 10 1 plus x for the domain of all real values of x where x is greater than 0. Here they have specified a range, but here the range is that you cannot go beyond 4 because it will become complex root. You cannot find root of negative numbers. So here we said it is option A is the answer, square bracket 0, 1. So I said square brackets means that it includes all the numbers starting from 0 to 1. It is not just 0 and 1. So I had explained this when I had told this. I had also shown you this, what is meant by open and closed interval. So this is called a closed interval, is what it represented. So the same 15th problem is what has been repeated here. Okay. Similarly, you can find the answers for the others also. So this is where 1 or 2 problems will be very simple. There's one more kind of problem which they'll always try to give, this kind of problem, like f they'll give, g of x they'll give, and they'll ask you to find g of f of x. So hope you have got this answer. Like for example, g of f of x means in g you should put f of x. So in place of x you'll put f of x like this, and you should be able to substitute everything in place of that x. So in place of x it is 1 by 1 minus x. So in place of this function here, x minus 1 by x, you should put 1 by 1 minus x and you'll be able to get your answer. So g of f of x or f of g of x, something like that, they'll keep on asking these questions. So for example, even in the last year question paper, you can see they've asked, then what is f of g of 3? Instead of x, they have put 3 here, and g of f of minus 3 is what they're asking you. So if you solve this, you should get your answer. I hope you guys understand what is meant by this symbol. This symbol means modulus. Modulus means whether negative comes or positive comes, it should always be a positive number. Okay. This is one. One more confusion or one more help which you might need is that in inverse functions, this inverse, finding the inverse. So I taught you one method for this, that equate this to k, okay, and then solve for x, find the value of that k, whatever it comes up. So for example, here I've written k, let me written y here. Let me write it as y. Whatever you equate it to k, solve for x. That means find the value of x. Whatever answer you get, you should write it in x form, is what I had explained to you. This is inverse. This also keeps appearing very frequently. So one is this f of g or g of f, and the other is this inverse and the sets. So your questions will be coming from these 3 types. That last chapter is permutation and combination. So that, this differentiation integration. So that you guys can try. The last 4 chapters, which is logical reasoning. Logical reasoning, as I said, you have to go through the problems. So for example, few things to make you understand here is that, for example, in the first chapter, what are those things, basic things which you need to remember to solve the problem is that you need to understand the patterns, like cubes pattern, q plus 1 pattern, q plus 2 pattern. Those patterns you should remember. Most of them it was subtraction, but you have to remember most of the patterns. And one more is this ABCD 1, 2, 3, 4, or reverse also is possible. Okay. Then this coding decoding, that is like this MN, which means +1, +2, minus this. So these are basic ingredients which you should remember. With this, you can solve most of the problems in this chapter. Okay, coding and decoding. Directional test. The basic thing in directional test is that you should remember this chart, this chart. And most important thing is that north represents in your book. If you draw this, whichever direction it is facing is north, which means north is opposite to you. South is towards you. East is towards your right. West is towards your left. That's how you should look at. Don't consider the actual north-south which we see across. It's as per this diagram. This is the only thing you need to remember in directional test. Seating arrangement is something which you need to remember here is that you need to remember this. If they're not told anything, which means this is the row. This is your left is problems left. Your right is only problems right, if they're not told anything. If they said they're facing each other, then it becomes like this, the opposite. So at that time, it will be different. Where is that? Yeah, if they're facing each other, for example, my left will be the other's right, my right will be the other person's left. So that thing you should take care. For example, this one, left, here it is right, and here right, and this is left. So facing each other. And then this is that cyclic. This is also very simple. Blood relations. See, that method of solving blood relations that where I was drawing those trees, that is not given here in the institute material. Something which I have designed to make the problems, making it more easier. But you should remember these relationships so that at least you should be able to interpret the problem. If you try to, take it as I'll take all my relatives and put them in a position and then try to solve the problem, that might work, but not for all the problems, because you might not have that kind of relative in your group and you will get confused. Better that tree diagram, which we taught you, that should be easier for you. Okay. So with these things in mind, what I have finally thrown here is that, see, we cannot, I have taken what, almost like 40 to 50 years I might have taken to teach the entire syllabus. So I cannot revise the complete thing in 2 hours thoroughly. But one thing which I've made clear is that you have all the problems, all the solutions, solve the institute material. You will be able to solve good amount of problems in the question paper. That's the final message from my revision class. So there, if you have doubts, you have internet, you have your friends, you have mentors from CAPS, you have your seniors, you have me. So many ways to approach. But what is my role in the revision class is giving you the right directions. The right direction is that first, formulas, make sure you know all the formulas. Second is that solve the problems from the institute material, which we have solved in the class. No other extra problems to be done. If you do this much, you should score good marks. Okay. Okay. Anything else to address here? Okay. If nothing is there, then I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.